Hello, I'm Yondon Latu at the South China Morning Post. I never truly realized the extent of my emotional investment in Hong Kong and concern for its well-being until the public backlash against the government's ill-conceived bull in a China shop campaign to change the city's extradition laws descended into shocking violence and anarchy over the past couple of weeks. How immensely saddening and distressing to see our beloved city torn apart by political acrimony and social strife. How demoralizing and depressing to read international "Oh my God, this is the death of Hong Kong" headlines. How alarming and disturbing to watch our youngsters fight pitched battles with police and our streets turn into smoking war zones all over again. Those who cannot learn from the mistakes of the past are condemned to repeat them. And that's where we find ourselves now, back in the black hole, having learned absolutely nothing from the trauma and tragedy of the 2014 Occupy movement, when masses of mostly young protesters blocked roads for 79 straight days in the name of civil disobedience and fighting for greater democracy. Nobody won back then, and yet here we are, rinse and repeat. We're getting really good at losing. What's really worrying is the complete and utter breakdown of trust and respect between frontline police and the youth of this city. The us versus them mentality is so ingrained now, the relationship's so broken that we should all be deeply concerned. There's a lot of rancorous debate over all the violence and whether protesters were dangerously out of control or police used excessive force. Well, you don't have to listen to anyone. Just make up your own mind by watching all the video footage on television and online. I mean all of it, not just isolated clips incriminating one side or another. There is no doubt that many of those young men dressed to the nines in ninja gear, who repeatedly attacked police lines with sharpened metal rods, bricks and makeshift weapons, need to be arrested and jailed. They were out to cause maximum carnage. Call them what you will, criminals, thugs, hooligans, agitators or miscreants. Having said that, the vast majority of youngsters out there who were exposed to tear gas, rubber bullets and beanbag rounds were nothing of that sort. They were our children, high school and university students, the future of this city, whether you like it or not. I remember being just as emotional and idealistic and rebellious, if not more, when I was their age. Does that justify breaking the law? Of course not. But dismissing them as misguided and fringe individuals and suppressing them with brute force is not the solution either, as it is plain to see. These very young men and women are not afraid of batons or bullets, and that is truly scary. We'd better pray that a student or police officer doesn't end up getting killed at this rate, because what we are facing now will pale in comparison to the fallout that would precipitate. We just can't afford it. This extradition bill, which would allow the transfer of fugitives to mainland China, which has a justice system and human rights record that doesn't inspire much confidence on this side of the border, is the catalyst rather than root cause of all this. Our youth are despondent, frustrated and angry about the lack of upward mobility in a city where the wealth gap is obscene, home prices are unaffordable, and the rich and powerful seem to get away with everything. They feel nobody is listening to them and there is no future. I dare say many of them don't actually care so much about a legal amendment to the Fugitive Offenders Ordinance, but the way the bill has been bulldozed forward feeds right into their perception that this government is more committed to keeping Beijing happy than protecting their interests. Well, nearly 2 million people were out in the streets on Sunday to hammer home exactly that message. Police stepped back and let them have their moment, allowing them to take over major roads and bring the city to a standstill. They taught our leaders a lesson in humility, forcing Chief Executive Carrie Lam to make a public apology and shelve the bill. They also made it abundantly clear to Beijing that the people of Hong Kong are no pushovers and will fight for their rights. The vast majority of them went home after that, mission accomplished. The problem is many are now insisting nothing short of Lam's resignation will take them off the streets. It's like they've smelled blood and want to see it flow. Let's be very careful here, because there's a difference between people power and mob rule. And last but not the least, what's with this one guy at every protest these days waving a British flag? Talk about colonial hang-ups. It's so 1997. Allow me to say in parting that you, sir, are an idiot.